We will talk about yeast, most common leavening agent, its safety and its mechanism of action. Most important, what yeast is doing is fermentation. And what means fermentation? When you add yeast to the dough, it starts eating glucose. And this eating glucose means fermentation. That's the whole idea. And what it means, it starts consuming glucose and fructose in the dough, and also starts multiplying and eating this glucose. And after eating glucose, we have two byproducts. It's ethanol first, which is alcohol, directly, literally it's alcohol, and another is carbon dioxide. So this alcohol is not harmful because during baking it will evaporate. So only minimal alcohol remains in the bread, which have no effect on the body, and we can ignore this amount. So alcohol is not problem here. And what this CO2 do? This carbon dioxide is trapped in gluten, and gluten is protein in the dough, especially wheat dough, wheat flour dough. It's protein which when it interacts with water, it creates this network, and this network traps CO2, and it causes a rise of this dough, and it becomes bigger and bigger, and we have this structure. And also we have better flour because of better aroma because of this ethanol also. So that's the idea of yeast. It rises this dough, and our bread becomes more light and more tasty also. But here we have some problem because, for example, in oat we have no gluten. Also in buckwheat we have no gluten, and if we do bread from oat, it's more flat and not raised, even if we use yeast. It happens because it has no gluten. So this yeast effect is minimal. It still has some effect, but this effect is minimal. And at this case, here we have vital wheat gluten, which is gluten flour actually, and you can add this gluten, and at this case oat flour also becomes more puffy and more raised, and we can make also such puffy and light breads from oat. It's important hint. Now let's talk about safety. We have lots of safety concerns about yeast, and most of them are myths. Actually, yeast is used in fermented foods and beverages for thousands of years in humanity history. So it's generally safe because we have historical evidence already that it's safe. Also, we have meta-analysis in 2020. In 2020, there was 19 studies about safety of yeast, and conclusion is that there is no short or long-term side effects. So it's safe. And we have also opposite results that it can reduce inflammation and improve gut health, but these findings are not consistent and need more researches. And we already said that this ethanol is not problem because it will evaporate during baking process. Also, here is question that what about this yeast? Will this yeast multiply in our body and it makes us more puffy, and if it causes obesity? No, of course not, because this yeast is not harmful actually for the body, and moreover this yeast will be died during baking process. So this yeast will be neutralized totally during baking process, so it's not problem for our body. Also, here is some concern about purine, because byproduct is purine also, and purine becomes uric acid, and uric acid is not good for people who has kidney problems or gout. But this purine formation is so minimal that we can ignore. It has no any health effects actually. It's only theoretical concern, not practical, because we have no results in real life that this purine can affect our body. So it's minimal, only minimal effect. And also there's questions that if it causes candidiasis in our body and yeast infection in the body. It's not true, of course, because candidiasis is caused by Candida albicans. It's another strain of yeast, totally different. And when we use for baking and brewing yeast, it's Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So different strains, and they have no connections and they have no correlations. And also there's question that if we left bread for several days, for example, and it becomes moldy and mold grows on the bread and it's greenish or bluish mold, if it's because of yeast, it's not because of yeast. It's important because it's Penicillium and Aspergillus. It's molds, and mold are different strains also. So it's not because of yeast, it's because of mold and mold growth. And this mold is not healthy. Some people think that if they eat such bread it's healthy. It's not healthy actually. It's harmful because of mycotoxins. They contain mycotoxins which are produced by this Penicillium and Aspergillus. So it's not healthy, it's harmful for the body. And some important thing about yeast also is that it decreases calories content of bread around 5% because it consumes glucose, and it consumes available glucose 70% in 1 hour. It's very important number actually, because it starts consuming all glucose in the bread, in the dough, and it's very important actually. And usually it's enough if you give time around 1 to 2 hours for fermentation, and ideal fermentation is around 24 to 30 degrees Celsius or around 75 Fahrenheit. So it's ideal temperature, and 2 hours usually enough. Sometimes more is needed, sometimes less. It depends. You can observe your dough and you can decide, but average it's 1 to 2 hours and around 30 degrees Celsius or 24 degrees Celsius. And sugar, if you add lots of sugar to your dough and egg also, it slows down fermentation. But some minimal sugar can increase fermentation time also, can fasten the fermentation time, not increase. And what is best temperature for activation of yeast? We have different types of yeast. Most common and most popular is dry active yeast, and it needs activation. It means that you should dissolve this yeast into water, warm water, and this warm water should be around 38 to 40 degrees Celsius, not very hot, because hot water will dye this yeast, so it's not good. It should not be more than 46. For instant yeast, you should dissolve it directly into dough. And there is fresh yeast also, and this fresh yeast spoiled very fast, so it has very short shelf life, and you should use it if you are professional. If you need very special taste, or if you are pro in baking, you can use this fresh yeast. But if you want to use at home or even in commercially, its best is dry active yeast and or instant yeast. And time for activation for dry active yeast, time for activation is around 5 to 10 minutes. For instant is around 5 minutes, and fresh yeast also 5 minutes. And best temperature for yeast fermentation in dough in Celsius. For bread is around 25 to 35, as we said. It should be around, I can say it should be around 30. It will be best. In case of cake, it's also around 30, and super puffy cake, if you want to be very light cake, it's also around 30, or it can be 27 also. That's all I wanted to say about yeast. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for watching. If you like my videos, please thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye for now.